Hello, friends. You're now listening to the lifestyle, leisure, and sports show you never knew was two of those things.
I think we can all acknowledge that if this fails, you two will be fired and I will remain. So, no pressure.
Bo Bishop, a regional media icon, winner of Emmys, purveyor of the good life.
Sir, you don't know that for a fact.
I just said it on the radio.
Also, two guys this company named Employee of the Month.
What are you talking about?
Paul Hogan is Hulk Hogan's brother. Look it up.
Because it's Hulk Hogan. That's his real name.
One guy is from Australia. The other one is from Tampa.
You mean he's from Hollywood, brother?
Not brothers. Chops.
Yes, they are.
This is Bishop and Friends.
All right, let's do it live on a Tuesday edition of the program. Bo and the boys with you for the next three. Aaron Portzline coming up at 9:33. We fired a coach. We'll get to the bottom on where they go from here. Dom coming up at 10:33. Little Tuesdays with DeBerry. We'll check in on the dog see if it's still in heat on that side. I think Keith Smith on the NBA coming up at 11:33 as well. The real truth hits you at 10 o'clock on that side of things, and see if we can get a little bit of stability with this hockey team. Much on the Pascal Vincent firing. That's all coming up momentarily here. I did want to start with the NBA championship last night. Oh, by the way, we're going to litigate if we're going to talk about Dragons or not. So you have that to look forward to, which is nice.
Did you watch last night?
I did, yeah. And we'll get into that. So much of a city's identity, I've found, is built up in the sports teams that are represented there. So a really good example of this, I think, is Pittsburgh juxtaposed to Cleveland. The two cities are very similar. Geographically, they look very similar. They're close together. One's on rivers, one's on a lake, but it's very, very similar. If you go into their downtowns, both now are trying to make it. They're both thriving in the medical side of things. But it was the steel industry, right? I mean, that was it. It was shipping in Cleveland. It was steel. It was those type of things. Rust Belt, if you think of it. But the city of Pittsburgh had the Steelers. And they won a lot. And they had the Pirates with Willie Stargell and Roberto Clemente, and they won a lot. Eventually, they got the Pens, and they won a lot. And what that gave the city of Pittsburgh was a sense, an incredible sense of pride. And when you would hear people talk about Pittsburgh around the country, excuse me, they would oftentimes be associated with winning. What you would think about with Pittsburgh is the winning. You'd think about the Steelers primarily, especially if you're my age. If you're your man in your 40s or a woman in your 40s, you've certainly felt that Pittsburgh almost had like a Wintersville, USA feel to it, and Cleveland would be the opposite, right? It was the mistake on the lake, it was the fumble, the drive, all of those things, and the burden of that I think carries with people who are native to Northeast Ohio around. I was at a wedding years ago, and a buddy of mine has married a girl from Gainesville, which Gainesville is a strip mall town in the middle of a swamp that just happens to have the University of Florida in it. But that's what Gainesville is. And he said, well, where's your wife from? Where's she from? I said, oh, she's from Cleveland. And he goes, I'm sorry. That was his answer. And I thought, dude, you're from Gainesville. Trust me. She's doing fine. She's doing just fine on it. But there's that perception of feeling sorry. So what does this have to do with the Celtics? The city of Boston, when I got a couple of buddies who grew up in Boston. The city of Boston, if you were my age, was a city that was built from a sports fan perspective. I think almost like the personality of the city of we love our teams despite their failures. And we love them for the greatness that they used to have, right? If you think of the 70s with the Bruins, 60s, 70s with the Bruins, the 60s Celtics, the 70s Celtics, the Red Sox. I mean, the way that Boston fans would view Ted Williams, like for hitting 406, Yaz, that type of stuff. Like their most famous play when I was a kid was Carlton Fisk hitting a home run that extended a series. It didn't win a series. It extended a series. They didn't win the series when Fisk hit that home run. But that is the play. That's the play in Good Will Hunting, right? It's that play. And the Patriots were an unmitigated failure. And it gave Boston this sense of like, this is the best sports town in America because they love their teams. At one point they were great, but they love them no matter what. I think a similar thing happened in Chicago, and Fish could talk about this. Mike could too. When the Cubs won the World Series, it was almost like they lost the lovable losers thing. It was almost like, oh, we have big money ownership now, and we're going to go get Theo Epstein, who did it in Boston, and now he's going to do it in Chicago. And it's almost like you lose the identity of, wait, without that drought, what are we? Once you win it, what are you? And Boston had that, certainly growing up, and they had it with the Red Sox most especially. So this championship that they won last night, it is the longest stretch that the city of Boston has gone without a championship since the year 2000. And that stretch was 2019 with the Patriots to 2024 with the Celtics. Since the year 2000, the city of Boston has won 13 championships. The Celtics in 08 and 09, the Red Sox in 04, 07, 13, 18, four of them. Bruins got 1 in 11, Patriots won 6. 13 championships in the four major sports in a 24-year, almost 25-year period. Just go now to 1980. So this is I'm really small in 1980, but all the way through for my formative years, from 1980 to 2000 to the year 2000. The city of Boston, take a swing, fellas. How many titles do you think the city of Boston won in that 20-year period?
2 or 3 with the Celtics.
Nailed it. 3 of them.
Yeah.
The Boston Celtics won in 81, 84, and 86. And that's why those Celtics teams were so beloved, because you know what everybody else won? Bupkis. Red Sox, nothing. Bruins, nothing. Pats, nothing. In fact, in many instances, it's just harrowing losing. I mean, the Red Sox, that's Buckner, right? That's the Buckner play in 86. I don't know if the Bruins ever got close with Ray Bork and those guys. The Pats were drilled by the 85 Bears. So they're just drowning in winning. This stretch, and this is your guys' formative age, the last 24 years, all they've done is win. Boston has just stacked. I don't know. I haven't looked it up. We'll get the MIT kids maybe can come up with it or something on social. There's no way there's another city that has a run like that over the last 25 years. There's no chance. And by the way, Fish texted me dead on the Cubs. He goes, now it's all front runners. Yeah, you lose the identity. With the winning comes a loss of identity.
I agree. Chicago does suck.
Well, and it's funny for Boston, too, because that identity was so ingrained in them that their baseball fans legitimately, not like how we joke about like, oh, somebody left and there's a curse, legitimately thought they were cursed, the curse of the Bambino. And like There were books written about it and people constantly talked about it. And they finally got over that hump. The Patriots were already starting their run at that time when the Red Sox won it. But then, it's just been pretty easy street for them. Even the Bruins, who are the low man on the totem pole with only one Stanley Cup final.